The issue of one nation, one election is not being raised for the first time. It has been debated earlier also. Shri Pranab Mukherjee, former President of India, Shri Ram Nath Kovind, former President of India, our Prime Minister has also from time to time said that the time has come when we should re-examine the issue and see that it is one nation, one election in the country. It is not that it was not happening earlier. After we got independence and our constitution was implemented in 1950, from that time the first 4 elections which were conducted, they were of the state assemblies as well as of the Lok Sabha, they were conducted simultaneously and there were no issue. Thereafter, once the Lok Sabha was dissolved prematurely once, and some of the state assemblies were also dissolved prematurely, the time was scattered and probably different time frames were at different times. The assembly elections have taken place, as well as the Lok Sabha elections have also held on different dates. The main issue as on today is when you conduct elections differently for the state assemblies, like take for example right now, in the November or December, 5 state assembly election will take place. Then in May, again the parliamentary election will take place, Lok Sabha election will take place. It consumes lot of time, lot of energy, lot of manpower is to be devoted. Expenses are also increasing on the election, and probably voter has to visit the polling booth number of occasions. In case there is one election, probably we can save a lot on the expenditure of election. Probably the voter will have to go only once, and the ministers and the senior officers, they can devote more time on governance issue than spending their time on the conduct of election from time to time. And I think the recent committee which has been recently announced by the government under the chairmanship of Shri Ram Nath Kovind, former President of India, will deliberate on all these issues and will come out some suggestions. As on today, if you talk of one nation, one election, the problem, I will divide it into 2 categories. One is the desirability of this particular election, one nation, and other is the constitutionally possible, whether it is possible. So far as desirability is concerned, as I have already said, probably it is desirable that this should happen because it will be more cost effective. Voter will have to go to the polling booth only once, and probably the energy of the ministers as well as of the senior officials can be utilized in the governance issue than spending time on election which are held frequently either in one state or in another state. But if we are talking about the constitutional provision, probably it will need constitutional amendment because the constitution prescribes a specified timeline, that is 5 years for the assemblies as well as for the Lok Sabha after the first sitting of the Lok Sabha or the state assembly. So constitutional amendment may take some time because constitutional amendment will first be considered by the parliament, where it will have to be passed by half of the members present and voting and two-thirds of the members present and voting and half of the members of the house plus 50% of the state assemblies must support this kind of amendment. Probably as on today, the kind of news which we are reading, some of the local governments or the state or the regional parties are not in favor of one nation, one election, for the simple reason they say that normally the assembly elections are contested on local issues and the Lok Sabha elections are contested on national issues. I think this is a short-lived issue because, as I earlier said, in the 4 initial elections which have taken place, they were all simultaneous and probably no such issues were raised. Probably with the large number of voters participating, probably election can be segregated in few days or few weeks. But I think all these things can be taken care of because of the kind of infrastructure which have been developed in the country. The electronic use of electronic voter machines will also help. And probably today the voter has become more enlightened and he knows when he goes for voting whether he is voting for the assembly election or he is voting for the national election. So I think these issues are short-lived. Once this proposal of one nation, one election is implemented, it will save lot of energy and it will help the voter. And in this Amrit Kal which has been declared, I think this will be a very good electoral reform in case there is a consensus among all the parties and this is implemented after bringing out necessary changes in the constitution.